Mr. Yip Hon Weng.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I declare I work in a global investment firm looking at human capital ecosystem strategies. In my work, I've seen how capital relocates amidst volatility, how labor markets adjust when technology shifts, and how nations either manage transition wisely or struggle when they do not. My reaction to Budget 2026 is this. Singapore's budget surplus reflects global volatility and our strategic credibility. In a fractured world, capital flows towards stability, predictability, and the rule of law. That is a vote of confidence for Singapore. I welcome the government's steady fiscal discipline. At a time where many countries wrestle with debts and deficits, Singapore's prudence is an asset. It gives us room to act, credibility to lead, and options in uncertainty. But volatility-driven gains are not permanent gains. Cyclical surpluses are not structural revenues. In a more dangerous world, fiscal strength is national defense. Our buffers are not excesses. They are strategic insurance. They safeguard our sovereignty, resilience, and freedom of action. As chair of the Defense and Foreign Affairs GPC, I say this with conviction. Fiscal resilience is strategic capability. It ensures we are not forced into decisions by constraint. It preserves our strategic autonomy when circumstances demand it. At the same time, given the current surplus position, perhaps we can signal stability by avoiding further tax increases in the near term. I recognize that government will, when necessary, need to raise revenue. But where new measures are introduced, they should be calibrated carefully and remain progressive. Perhaps there should be no additional effective burden on lower-income households, and revenue adjustments should be designed with cost pressures firmly in mind. This is not to question earlier fiscal decisions. It is simply to say, where space exists, we should use it to cushion households and strengthen trust. Because trust in fiscal policy underpins trust in everything else. And trust must also underpin our AI transition. The AI transformation is not theoretical, it is structural, it is global, and it is accelerating. Recent analysis from technologists observing the frontier makes this clear. Model performance is not merely improving incrementally, it is compounding. Tasks that required research teams a year ago can now be done in weeks. Tasks that required weeks can now be done in hours. What appears gradual suddenly crosses a threshold and becomes transformational. AI is no longer assisting humans at the edges. AI is helping to build the next AI. Engineers use AI to write code, debug systems, test approaches, and accelerate research cycles. But the recent AI coding revolution does not stop at engineers and programmers. Because code is essentially logic and workflow, and it is enterprise logic and workflow that is the fundamental basis of many knowledge jobs. This means that AI's ability to generate code and write software autonomously could eventually have greater implications on all knowledge workers, not just programmers. When improvements accelerate the next round of improvements, change does not move in a straight line. It begins to move like a wave. Last week, I met a young Singaporean named Amir outside a tuition center in Yio Chu Kang. He was waiting for his sister. In his hand was a neatly printed CV, 3 pages, strong verbs, clean formatting. I asked whether he had hired a professional writer. He laughed and said, "No, I used an AI tool to help me. It rewrote my CV. It drafted cover letters. It even suggested interview answers." Then he paused. "But if AI can write my CV better than I can," he said quietly, "what happens when it can do my job better than me?" He was not dramatic. He was also not angry. He was simply uncertain. That uncertainty is what many Singaporeans feel. The IMF estimates roughly 40% of jobs globally are exposed to AI. In advanced economies, exposure approaches 60%. Goldman Sachs estimates generative AI could affect work equivalent to 300 million full-time roles. These are not alarmist numbers. These are structural signals. Stanford professor Eric Brynjolfsson recently argued that the long-awaited AI productivity takeoff may now be visible. In the US, payroll growth was revised downwards by over 400,000 jobs, even as GDP grew 3.7% in the fourth quarter. Output held steady, while labor input declined. That is the hallmark of productivity growth. Productivity rose about 2.7% in 2025, nearly double the previous decade's pace. First come investment, then reorganization, then, if we get it right, harvest. But harvest is uneven. Some firms adapt faster, some sectors benefit earlier, others face displacement sooner. And here is the elephant in the room. Mid-career workers are already feeling automation's pressure. The accountant whose reconciliation tasks are automated, the marketing manager whose drafting work is compressed into minutes, the operations executive whose reporting is replaced by dashboards. These are not statistics. These are parents, caregivers, and Singaporeans with responsibilities. They want to remain useful, valued, and respected in their work. Productivity can rise even as some workers experience displacement. Our task is not to deny disruption. It is to govern it. Allow me to group my proposals into 3 themes. First, Mr. Speaker, sir, measure what matters. AI missions deserve praise, but alongside ambition, we need measurable labor outcomes. What 3 to 5 KPIs will be published annually that are explicitly job-linked? For example, net new roles created, wage uplift achieved, time to deployment, share of SMEs scaling AI beyond pilots. If this transformation is national, its scorecard must be national and human. AI champions must not become theatre. What is the gating bar? It should include data readiness, genuine process redesign, measurable productivity gains, and meaningful workforce upgrading. And if firms cannot demonstrate transformation beyond pilot projects within a defined period, support should be reviewed and, if necessary, withdrawn. Second, Mr. Speaker, sir, protect pathways. Globally, the first wave is not mass layoffs, but junior tasks disappearing, drafting, summarizing, first-pass analysis. Will AI mission partners redesign entry-level pathways so that young Singaporeans still get a real first job, real mentorship, and real responsibility, even as AI takes over routine tasks? The future belongs to AI conductors, not merely AI users. Our juniors must learn to curate, steer, and verify AI outputs. The competitive advantage is not pressing generate. It's about asking the right questions and judging the answers. If we lose the first job pathway, and if our juniors never get the chance to learn how to be AI conductors, we lose the future workforce. For mid-career Singaporeans, the fear is not only unemployment, but stagnation and even decline. Will AI support be conditional on job redesign and wage progression commitments? If gains flow only to the margins and management, social cohesion erodes. 6 months of premium AI tools must not become tokenism. Access is not mastery. How will we measure demonstrable skill acquisition through portfolio, assess projects, and recognize credentials? Workers need employability, not just exposure. Third, Mr. Speaker, sir, build shared capability and trust. Do SMEs have sufficient compute and infrastructure? Will we provide shared credits, secure data environments, and reference architectures so that they can compete responsibly? Without shared capability, we risk an AI divide. In regulatory sandboxes, who bears the liability? When AI affects hiring or evaluation, what is the audit framework? Speed without accountability breeds backlash. And how do we remain trusted without slowing deployment? What is the AI Council's explicit speed with safety model? This should include tiered risk categories, standardized evaluation, fast-track approvals for low-risk use. Trust must not become friction. Speed must not become recklessness. Will the government lead by example? Will the public sector pair AI adoption with systematic job redesign and publish measurable outcomes? In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, 2 centuries ago in the English Midlands, groups of skilled textile workers gathered at night. They broke into mills and smashed the mechanical looms, the industrial weaving machines that automated the production of cloth, because they believed those machines would destroy their livelihoods. These workers came to be known as the Luddites. They were not ignorant men. They were craftsmen, fathers, and providers who feared that mechanization would render their skills obsolete. History remembers them as opponents of progress. But here is the twist. The looms did not destroy prosperity. They transformed it. Industrialization was painful and disruptive, but the societies that adapted built new industries, new skills, and eventually a broader middle class. The lesson is not that technological change is painless. It is that refusing to prepare does not preserve dignity. Preparing does. AI is technological change. It is not to be feared. It is not to be ignored. It is to be governed. But AI moves at digital speed. The Luddites had decades. We may only have years, perhaps only months. History also warns us that when ownership concentrates and meaningful work disappears, inequality hardens. If AI disruption results in productive assets concentrated in a few hands, while working people are excluded from opportunity, social strain follows. But that outcome is not inevitable. Every major technological disruption has also created renewal. AI can expand opportunity if directed wisely. That means preparing our workforce today. It means equipping our workforce tomorrow. It means being prepared to recalibrate policy as the technology evolves. The future will remain uncertain. But this government does not sugarcoat reality. The PAP has never shied away from harsh truths. We will be honest about the challenges on the ground. We will be honest that some jobs will change. We will be honest that some roles will disappear. And we will be honest that the transition will not be easy. But we will also be clear about this. We are here to walk with Singaporeans through the tough times. Now let me return to Amir. When I saw him again, he had enrolled in a course. He was no longer asking what AI could do for him. He was asking what he could become. The tool is not the point, his instructor told him. Learning how to think is the point. I realized, Amir said, that I needed to level up. Mr. Speaker, that is the future we must design. Not a future where workers are discarded. Not a future where productivity rises but trust falls. But a future where productivity funds mobility and automation finances upgrading. If we prepare honestly, govern wisely, and act courageously, Singapore will not merely endure this wave of change. We will rise with it. If we get this right, Singapore will not merely adopt AI, we will guide it, we will shape it, we will humanize it, and together we will shape the future of Singapore. Thank you, and I support the budget.